Good morning, Seattle Unity. You're awake. Congratulations. You win the day. Everything beyond here is gravy. Stand up as you are able, please. And look, the sun is out. And for anybody who's over there and you're like, it's too bright, just move at any point in the service. You're allowed to move to a shadier part if your Seattleite blood is like, no, I can't take it. I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
What? I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Yeah, I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Well, my God is so good to me. All right, it's really easy. Call response. No matter what I say, you just say, God is so good. Dirk, A+, always. Let's do it again. One. I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Yeah, I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Oh, I woke up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Well, my God is so good to me. Very good. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Can you do one?
Oh, yeah.
Yay! 1, 2, 3.
It's really nice outside.
God is so good.
Yeah, it's really nice outside.
God is so good.
Oh, it's really nice outside.
God is so good. Well, my God is so good to me. That was lovely. Cambria,
Yes.
this is her first day, by the way. She's the mom of the 3 little boys. If you've been here for a while, you've probably seen the 3 little boys who like tear over and you're like, what was that? It was a flock of something. This is their first time up here. Can you do one for us?
Of course.
1, 2, 3.
I woke up healthy singing.
God is so good.
I woke up healthy singing. God is so good. I woke up healthy singing.
God is so good. Oh, my God is so good to me. Everybody, every day, ready? Every day, in every way. God is so good. Give us a pose. Every day, every way. God is so good. Yeah, every day, in every way. God is so good. My God is so good to me. Let's bring it down and we'll pray on this.
And so we take a moment to turn our attention within as we know that there is one presence and one power. So let's affirm it together. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God the good, omnipotence.
All right, Rose,
Yes, Aaron.
do you want to do one?
I would love to.
Yay! 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Calling in all the good stuff.
God is so good.
I'm calling in all the good stuff.
God is so good.
I am calling in all the good stuff.
God is so good. My God is so good to me. All right. Imagine what you would say if I just called on you right now and said, do it. What would happen in your head? Would you freeze? Would you know what you wanted? Would you be able to name and claim you're good for right now? The thing that you would be willing to say 3 times. Well, I'm not going to call on you. Are you kidding me? I got one more. Jen!
Yeah.
Do you want to do one?
Sure.
Do one! 1, 2, 3, 4.
I woke up way too early to sing.
God is so good.
I woke up way too early to sing.
God is so good.
I woke up way too early to sing.
God is so good. My God is so good to me. Every day with poses. Ready? Every day in every way. God is so good. Every day in every way. God is so good. Every day in every way. God is so good. My God is so good to me. Everybody on I Woke Up. Ready? I woke up this morning singing. God is so good. I woke up this morning singing. God is so good. I woke up this morning singing. God in the air and give us a little Aretha Franklin stuff. Nice. Be seated.
Good morning. Are you awake? Okay, I have a feeling there might be a few more people online this morning in your pajamas still, drinking your coffee. That's okay. We love you all online as well. So welcome, whether you're here in the room joining us online. If you are joining us online, we'd love to hear where you're joining us from, if you want to type that into the chat. And also if you have a prayer request. And for those in the room, if you have a prayer request, you can go right out through those doors after the service, and there's some forms on the altar out there, and we invite you to fill out a prayer request form. And so I invite you to join me now in our prayer for the future. Divine love flows through Seattle Unity. As our congregation grows, we are blessed with deep and lasting friendships. We share creative ideas that spark new ways of being. We give generously from a place of abundance. We are empowered to do good in the world. Amen. So I'm going to ask those in the room, if you're visiting for the first time, if you might be willing to just put your hand up. Our community guides have, hello, welcome. Our community guides have a welcome packet for you. We hope you will come and join us for coffee and tea afterwards upstairs. And if you're online, we'd also love to hear if you're joining us for the first time. So I'm going to call out just a couple of announcements just briefly. So next week we have a membership class. So if you've been thinking about membership, this is an opportunity to step in a little bit further to Seattle Unity and kind of ownership of this community by becoming a member. It's also the first meeting of a young adults group that is getting started. So that's going to be in the afternoon. And young adults include anyone from 18 to 40. So it's all relative, right? And if you have questions, I see Lucas is there and Jack's in the back. So if you want more information, I invite you to go and say hi to them and find out more. Also, we have a volunteer appreciation dinner on Thursday the 20th. Reverend Karen and I are going to cook and host our volunteers, and thank you. There is an RSVP on the website. So if you volunteer in any capacity, we ask that you RSVP in advance. And then that Saturday, we're actually having a spring cleaning. And so if you can come and participate either from 10 to noon or noon to 2, that would be great, helping us do a little spring cleaning. So now Dirk has an announcement.
Good morning. Once again, it's Outreach Sunday, which falls every second Sunday of the month. I interrupt this broadcast to bring this newly found information on the California Fire Relief Fund for last month. We brought in just over $700. We on this team reach out with your charitable contributions to local organizations such as, yet not limited to, Compass Housing Alliance, Youth Care, Treehouse, and Mary's Place. You may give in the following ways. We will be in the lobby after service to accept checks, cash, gold bullion, precious gems, crypto. Depends which crypto you want to go get. Oh. And, or you could use the special donation option setup page on Unity's website and text to give. We're having an outreach meeting after service today in the focus room downstairs. Thank you for your continued support of our outreach programs. You are the backbone of our success.
Thank you, Dirk, and to our outreach team. And again, it's open to everyone. So if you want to participate in that, we invite you to go and check it out. So now we have a chat prompt for our online folks. And today we're asking, do you write or keep a journal as a personal habit or spiritual practice? And so I invite you to type the answer into the chat and participate in that way. And for those in the room, I invite you to stand and greet one another.
Stay standing as you are able. Hey, did any of you notice Mardi Gras was this week? Did you, Marty? Did you party on the Mardi? So you'll hear this Mardi Gras flavor. This is the second line rhythm, and you'll hear a little bit of an accordion on the synth sound. This is Guide My Feet, which is actually an old spiritual, but we're talking about guidance this month because our theme is Voices of Intuition. So we're asking for guidance. I don't often ask for guidance. I often say like, enough, enough, enough. I've got it. But this is asking for guidance. Goes like this. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Try that. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Do it again. Let's do it harmonies. Guide my feet while I run this race. Oh, you gotta guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Let's take a little dance break while Eric plays. And now we say, hold my hand. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. You get one more chance on the dance break. Now we say, stand by me. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Perfect. Please be seated. So we do those faster sing-along things. Shake out the body, wake up the body. get the blood moving and the breath moving so that when we get into this next more contemplative part of the service, and we come to that spot, we're going to share a silent meditation together. We're not just falling asleep. We're not just brain on pause. We're actually opening everywhere in the body and brain, opening to those intuitive voices. But the first step into this more contemplative part of the service comes through a reading, and today we have George Gregory. George.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's actually two readings. The first is The Essential Mystics, The Soul's Journey into Truth by Andrew Harvey from the Quran, Surah 2. Behold in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alteration of night and day, and the ships that sail on the sea to profit the people. And the water God rains from the skies, thereby enlivening the earth after it has died, and spreading animals all kinds thereon, and in the shifting winds and in the clouds, enslaved between the heavens and the earth. There are signs for a discerning people. Second reading. A Garden Among the Flames by Ibn Arabi, translation by Michael A. Seals. O marvel, a garden among the flames, my heart can take any form. A meadow for gazelles, a cloister for monks, for the idols, sacred ground, Kaaba for the circling pilgrim, the tables of the Torah, the scrolls of the Quran. I profess the religion of love wherever its caravan turns along the way. That is the belief, the faith I keep.
Join me in this meditation. I'll sing the first time through for you, but most of you know this, but join us when you're ready. It'll be followed by 2 to 3 minutes of silence. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. All night.
watching over me all night, all day. Angels watching over me, my Lord, all night, all day. Angels watching over
going up to the riverside to play. Going down to the riverside to pray. In Vermilion woods, butterflies soar and swoop from old growth trees, spaced wide along the creek. Spongy moss underfoot tells sign that the few feet who stepped here stepped lightly. The bosom of fall comes in heavy-weighted clouds, refilling the pitcher of the sea to rain down on weaving paths of woolly bears and spider webs. Each watery orb fills with prisms of light, wan with moon, matted with cloud, then brilliant white when the sun bursts through. Daylight fades to a pensive, listening black. The orbs of water pour each other cups for dreaming fae who drink the sky and cast out seeds from pockets outturned generosity. Going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down to the riverside to pray.
Eric Kosterot. Eric Kosterot, thank you.
Thank you.
So fun. So this month we're looking at our new theme, Voices of Intuition. You know, each time we get to a new month, I'm like, oh, this is a fun one too. I suppose that's a good thing, right? Yeah. So as Reverend Karen was talking about last week, intuition is when you know, but you don't know how you know. It bypasses the conscious, it kind of bypasses the logical. It shows up in those kind of small decisions we make, sort of what you want to eat. Are you going to go for a walk, or is it time to rest? But it also shows up in our big decisions, if we're willing to listen. And so it's those intuitive nudges, and it can come to us in meditation, in the silence, in those quiet moments, in the middle of a creative project, right? We often think of our creatives, our musicians, our poets, in tune with that intuitive voice. But it also comes to us in motion and walking. And the truth is, when we're open to that voice of intuition kind of speaking through us, guiding us, leading us, it's there always as a constant companion. And so that's what we're going to explore together is what are the ways, how many people feel like they're in tune with their intuition? They feel like they're in touch with it on a daily basis, you turn to it. And so a lot of people do, and so it shows up in different ways. And if you don't feel that, then I want to just create this space to explore together how that might shift for you, in some ways that might shift. So I think of the voice of intuition as whispers from the soul. And of course, you know, if you look at the psychology and psychological terms, they'll talk about intuition as instinct. It's kind of for those that are profession and they have a deep well of experience. They have so much experience and knowledge and learning that kind of intuitive kind of knowings just sort of come up out of the subconscious. So it is all of that. And we're looking at the voice of intuition as something that is this bridge to our soul when we're willing to listen and take it in. And at our prayer chaplain meeting this last week, I invited the prayer chaplains. We all took some time to journal about what is intuition to us and how does it show up in our life. And I think it was affirming, if nothing else, that we all said, oh yes, it shows up every day in so many different ways, not even being aware of it until we kind of sat down and wrote about all the ways that our intuition kind of comes through us and shows up for us. Again, in those small decisions, if we're willing to listen, and also those major kind of forks in the road or those major decision points. And I could relate to both of that. I know that major kind of decision points in my life, I've turned to my intuition to guide me and lead me. And one of those was when I knew I was kind of complete with my engineering life and my engineering world, and I kind of was then, what's next? And I was sort of sitting with that question. I knew I wanted to work with people, and I knew it wanted to be something in sort of mind, body, spirit, something very holistic. And my immediate kind of logical brain was like, okay, psychology or ministry? Because those had always been something I was passionate about and interested in since childhood. And so, being the good truth student, unity student I am, I went into prayer and meditation, just holding this question of what's next, you know, and I'm thinking psychology, you know, ministry, and it was more than an intuitive nudge, it was this intuitive gong that said, start with the body. And I looked around and I'm like, what? Go to massage school. I'm like, what? Like, that had never been in my awareness. I maybe had only had like a few massages at all. Sure, I had, you know, studied about a half a dozen different energy modalities, energy healing, but massage school, and the rational mind, right, it wanted to argue and say, no, it's psychology or ministry. And then the intuitive voice was like, no, start with the body. And I trusted it because it was coming from that place where that intuitive voice, you know, that is a deeper wisdom. And it's that wisdom of the soul. And so I said, okay, so I'm going to do this. And it turned out to be the best kind of decision and way forward at that particular moment. Because there was such a deep healing journey that I was going to embark on in kind of getting into body work and massage. And so I had a lot of kind of a deep healing that experienced over a number of years. And then after massage school, I got into craniosacral and acupressure and Chinese medicine, and I loved it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it opened up my world, and it brought this holistic kind of insight to my spiritual journey as well, which it was unexpected. You know, it was sort of like at first when I was starting down that path, it's sort of like, okay, I'll do the body thing, I'll go to massage school, and then I'll go on and do what I really want to do. And then once I was in the middle of it, I realized, oh my gosh, there are so many gifts here for me, including my spiritual journey. Because it was happening and occurring in such a holistic way, and there were all these little mystical threads in craniosacral and Chinese medicine and acupressure that both have a very holistic way of viewing and perceiving our lives and our bodies and our experiences. And so in Proverbs 1:5, we hear, "Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance." And so again, if we're willing to listen to that voice of intuition, it will lead us on marvelous paths, the paths that our soul is calling us to move forward on. Now, there's often this dichotomy between intuition and rationality, right? So often we might hear certain creatives, artists, musicians, authors that are firmly rooted in their intuition, but they might say, rationality doesn't really have a place. And then on the other side, you might hear scientists say, I'm fully grounded in rationality, and there really isn't room for intuition, or it's basically just sort of instinct, or again, kind of a well of experience that arises through our subconscious, right? So there can be this dichotomy that exists. And Anne Lamott, she's an author, and I know some of you know her. She said this about intuition. She said, "You get your intuition back when you make space for it. When you stop the chattering of the rational mind. The rational mind doesn't nourish you. You assume that it gives you the truth because the rational mind is the golden calf that this culture worships. But this is not true. Rationality squeezes out much that is rich and juicy and fascinating." Well, you can see Anne Lamott's take on rationality, right? She doesn't hold back. So she's leaning into the gift of intuition when we make space for it. But I have a different perspective. I believe there's a place for both intuition and rationality. And science has now well proven that we actually have three brains. People know that, right? We have three brains. We have the one in our head, our heart, and our gut. And so there's now enough science showing that there's neurotransmitters in all of these. And I believe the wise person will listen to the different forms of knowledge, understanding, perception that comes through these different brains that we all have. And the wise person will work to be listening to all of these and aligning them together because they each play a very important role. So then we turn to the scientists, and there's many scientists who believe, scientific process. It's about process. It's about rationality. There's not a lot of room for intuition, but what we're seeing is even that is not true, right? There's a number of scientists throughout history that recognize the value of intuition, and actually, many scientific discoveries would not have happened without intuition. It's integral to the process of discovery. And many may have heard a number of different quotes and writings by Albert Einstein, a very well-known scientist, right? Talking about the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift, right? So we've sometimes placed rationality over top of intuition or completely forgotten it, but there's a place for both. So the early Greek philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they were fully rooted in the power of intuition. And you'd think, well, philosophers, that's, rationality, that's logic. Yet Socrates, Plato writing in Socrates' voice, said that the soul is immortal, and therefore the soul knows everything. So learning is really just about recollecting what we already know. And so that was one of the perceptions or views of intuition, was it's really about hearing what's already available to us. And in Unity, we talk about, this metaphysical realm or the unformed realm that is outside of space and time, that everything exists in this unformed realm. And so the voice of intuition is our ability to listen in to that voice of God, that voice of our soul, whatever that is to you. Theoretical physicists that are more contemporary, Nobel laureate Giorgio Parisi and Carlo Rovelli, also talk about the power of intuition. and that they wouldn't have gotten to where they are, they wouldn't have been able to do the work they do without tapping into their intuition. And I love this. Carlo Rovelli has a number of students, and so every morning he says he comes in and he says, okay, what new ideas do you have? What new intuitions do you have? And so he actually says that. He says, what are you listening for that's out kind of beyond our rational knowing? Because that's where the great discoveries are. And it's always this kind of intuitive leap that takes us to a greater knowing, a greater understanding, right? That was true of Kepler and Galileo. It was true in the early 20th century. The scientists that were first trying to figure out what is this thing that later got called quantum physics. And at first they were trying to use the old model, and they kept trying to make it fit within the old model, and it didn't follow any of the rules. And so it wasn't until they threw that out completely and were open to what are those intuitive kind of guidelines, what are those kind of intuitive knowings that will lead us to something new, a new way of seeing, a new way of understanding. I'd say the majority of scientists do value intuition equally with rationality. So much so that in Antarctica, there's a peak named after intuition. It's actually called Intuition Peak. You can look it up. I'm not making this up. And so it's actually Intuition Peak, and it's named Intuition Peak in honor of scientific discovery through our intuition and the movement forward of human understanding. So I've been enjoying the last few weeks my Abundant Living class, and there's about 15 people in that. And this listening in for our intuition is such an integral part of that. So we started out kind of talking about kind of where are our goals and dreams and where we want to be going. And so that, of course, requires us listening in to our intuition, listening for our soul, what direction we want to move in. But we've been also asking the question, what gets in the way? And that's also using our intuition. Like, what are the obstacles? And so, of course, it is, limiting beliefs and limiting thought patterns that get in the way. But it's also unfinished business. What are those things that we may not have gotten to before? And it's also what we've been talking about, and many people don't think of this, but it's also maybe kind of dreams that we had, but they're not realized, but we never really fully kind of let go of them. So looking back over the years, have you had certain dreams or desires or goals, and they're not realized, but do they still have any juice for you? And if they don't, have you consciously released them? Because I always think about, I have this image where if I have a dream or a goal, something I'm moving towards, it's like this thread of energy is moving out, right? Because there's some amount of our energy that's going to feed that goal, that thing that we want to bring into our life. And so it's like these tendrils of energy going out. And so I used to want to go to Japan, and I don't. It doesn't mean I won't at some point. But if we have so many different goals and ideas and dreams, then it kind of scatters our energy. And so the question is, are there certain dreams that maybe you had at one time, but they don't really have a lot of juice for you anymore? And if so, have you actually consciously released those so that you can focus your energy where you're being called to focus it at this particular time? So it's just something to consider. And right now we're moving into this, as Aaron mentioned, into the season of Lent on the Christian calendar. It's also Ramadan, started this last week. It's not very often that the two, Lent and Ramadan, coincide. The reason is that Ramadan, they follow the lunar calendar, and so it's always in the 9th month. So that means every year it's about 10 or 12 days earlier. It takes 33 years to move through the entire cycle. And actually in the year 2030, Ramadan will be observed twice because it's on that 9-month cycle. And so Ramadan is this opportunity to deepen, for Muslims, their commitment to Allah, their dedication and their faith. They fast from sunrise to sunset, and they don't partake of any water or food during the fasting, during the daylight hours. Imagine in the northern hemisphere during the summer months what that could feel like, what that could be like. Talk about devotion, right? Dedication. And then they break their fast at the end of the day with family and friends. And with Lent, as we're entering into the season of Lent, Ash Wednesday was this past Wednesday. In Unity, we often have a little slightly different take on it. It's often about giving something up that's external, like coffee or sugar. And it could be that for you. Maybe you're feeling you want a fresh start into spring and do a little spring cleaning. But in Unity, we often talk about, first and foremost, it's about what are the kind of limiting thoughts or limiting beliefs that we want to release and let go of. For example, maybe it's thoughts of anxiety or worry, thoughts of apathy, whatever that is. And so just a question for you, is there any sort of spring cleaning that you're being called to do when you listen into that voice of intuition? Is there any internal spring cleaning in terms of something you want to release, something that's holding you back from moving forward toward your goals and your dreams? And so I want to just invite us to just go into a little bit of a meditation just for a couple of minutes and just holding that question and listening in to that voice of intuition. And so as we move forward this month, just asking the question, is there something that you're needing to release? Something that's in the way? And it might be something external, but it also might be a habit, a belief, a thought pattern that's no longer serving you. So just trusting whatever comes, that voice of intuition, being willing to be open. Perhaps there's also something calling you forward with this spring energy. Some whisper of your soul calling you into new energies, some new project. And so just sitting with whatever that is, just holding it lightly. And when you're ready, just bringing your attention back to this space in this room. And so it might have been in something as simple as how you're going to spend your afternoon today, or the focus for the week. So now an important follow-up is asking if there was something that came, and there may not have been anything, which is fine, because again, sometimes we create the space for intuition, and it doesn't come in that moment, but it might come when we're taking a walk later. I know that happens for me. Often if I'm stuck or I'm working on something, if I go outside and I take a walk, then suddenly there can be this flood of intuition and insights that come. So an important follow-up is if you do receive something is to ask the question, is there some action to take in support of it? Right? We're always about practical spirituality. So what is that action that you might be called to take in support of whatever came? Either something to release and or something that's calling you forward. And so may each of us be open to hearing and creating space for that voice of intuition. We all have it. It's the whispers of our soul, it's spirit, it's God, that one presence wanting to come through us. and shine through our life and guide us and lead us. And so may we all be open to that and allow it to guide us in our life. And so it is. Amen. Blessings. So we come now to that time to give of our love offerings, our free will gifts. It is this wonderful opportunity we have to participate in the giving and receiving, to be able to direct our money energy in certain ways that support this ministry, support the music and the programming. And so I invite you just to center in your heart, holding your gifts in your hand or in your mind, if you give electronically, as we affirm the blessing of offering together. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude.
Found me blue, and there's nothing I'd rather do than go down to the river with you, sand in the palms of my hands, calf running loose down the road. When the leaves fall down, starry crown, still in the garden wandering round. Then go down to the river with you, sand in the palms of my hands, calf running loose down the road. Bubbles rise, giving us breath at first sunlight. Then go down to the river with you, sand in the palms of my hands, calf running loose down the road. Then go down to the river with you, sand in the palms of my hands, calf running loose down the road. Then go down to the river with you, sand in the palms of my hands, calf running loose down the road.
All right, so let's put a final blessing on our offering, and then we'll call out those who are watching around town. So we dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the will, the work, and the way of the living Spirit of truth. We are so grateful for the generosity of each giver, and may it return a millionfold, and it is so. Amen.
Amen.
So I want to remind you that the writers group is meeting. If you've never been, we invite you to come. If that writer in you, that intuitive writer in you is calling you, Steve Piha is leading that group, and it is meeting in the youth and family room today. Also, we still have a few Mariner tickets left for July 23rd, so if you're interested, you know to come see me. It's a day game at 12:40 or something like that. Okay, so Watching today, we have people who are watching from Cottage Grove, Oregon. We want to give a shout out to Suffolk, the UK. It's probably Julia. Corvallis, Northgate, Shasta County, Federal Way, Columbia City, Kenmore, Napa Valley. West Lynn, Oregon. Hello, Louise. Seward Park. And somebody just joined us from Brazil, just signed on too. So, all right. So now let's just take a moment as we bless those who have requested prayer, both in-house and at home. So I invite you to move to your heart and take a deep breath. And so we begin with Kelly, who made her transition unexpectedly. And we hold her daughter, her grandchildren, her family in our prayers as they adjust to life without her. We hold also in our prayers for healing Judy and Chris. And we hold Tim and his family and Betty. To David, April, Randy, Kathy, and Anna. To Scott and Janet. To Sally, to Faith, Michael, Sabrina, Louise, Ann and Michael. We take a breath and we send that healing energy to Marcia, to our leaders, to Jason, to Susan, and to anyone else who comes to your mind, to Constance, to anyone who is suffering. Speak their names now. And so we join together in our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, it is. Let's sing a closing song together. I invite you to stand as you are able. Wait.
We have chaplains who are here to pray with you. So chaplains, please come forward. Do not leave if you need prayers. Our chaplains are here to bless you.
We love our chaplains. I want to say thank you to our special guest today, Eric Koserot, multi-instrumentalist, singer, poet, magical human from our local talent pool. Awesome. Thank you. If you want to hold hands, hold hands. If you don't want to hold hands, you don't have to. It's unity. We don't force you to do stuff in here. We're going to sing a closing song together. Shanti. Let it begin with me. Here we go. Shanti, Shanti. Let it begin with me. Shanti, Shanti. Let it begin with me. You like harmonies? Sing them. Shanti.